Everyone, I'm James with Ring Central. Today we're going to be going through using your new Ring Central system. Our itinerary is going to look like this. We're going to talk about the Polycom VVX410. This is going to be the new desk phone that you'll be assigned through Ring Central. We'll talk about using the Ring Central applications on desktop and mobile for message, video, and phone features. I'll show you how to manage your extension settings. These settings will follow you around for your desk phone, the mobile app, and the desktop app. And then we'll wrap out showing conferencing and collaborating features. As part of using Ring Central, looks like we don't actually need to cover the 410, so let me take that off of the itinerary. Take just a moment here. Then in that case, we're going to be talking about the Ring Central app for the entire session today. We'll be swapping between desktop and mobile to make sure that we know how to use both. For the users that we have in today's session, are we primarily going to be desktop users, primarily going to be mobile users, or do we expect to be a healthy hybrid somewhere between? Okay, cool. Well, all right. In that case, after we wrap up today's training session, we have more information at ringcentral.com/university. We're going to be going over the Ring Central desktop app for the bulk of our training today. There are going to be a few times where I switch between the mobile and the desktop app in order to orient you to the mobile app and help you understand the features that are available. All of the features that you see in the desktop app today, though, are going to be available on the mobile app as well. These apps have feature parity with one another, so they've all got the exact same sets of features. You're going to find them in different places through the mobile app. I'm going to swap my screen over, and we're going to do all of this as a live demo. In today's session, if you have any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask those questions. Everyone's been muted by default just due to the amount of participants that we have, but you do have permission to unmute yourself. You can also use that little chat bubble down at the bottom, and you can either chat directly with me, or you can send a chat to everyone. Any questions that are sent in there, I'll see in my other window, and I'll be happy to answer those questions as we go through them. Feel free to let me know if there are any features that you're going to find really useful or that you're curious about and that you'd like to see set up here. I'm going to swap my screen over, and we're going to go through some basic things first. So this is what it'll look like when we are first signed in and set up. We're going to change some things around right after we're done with our orientation here. So right now I've currently got it set to the light theme, and we're currently on messaging. We're going to run through a couple of things. I'm going to show you where you can find settings in the app and how you can navigate through the features that are available. Here on the side, we've got message, video, and phone. This is how we'll swap through the features we have available there. Here, we'll have our contacts. This is going to be a combination of our corporate directory and any contacts we've added from outside of our Ring Central system. Down here, we've got kind of our inbox. This is going to be for anything that's been uploaded to any of our teams or direct messages. Here we can see tasks, events, files, and more. Down here, we've got our settings. On settings, I'm going to jump up to themes. There are two different ways we can set up our themes. We can set it to follow the system settings. And if we turn that off, we can force it into dark mode. We're going to leave it on dark mode for the rest of this training session. To get back out of our settings, we just need to go over to any other account feature. Here, we can search for any contacts that we have in the system. As we're going through the transition period, not all of our contacts will be added into the system quite yet. So if you're searching for somebody and you don't see them listed in here, they might just not be added into the Ring Central system quite yet. When we're searching for a contact here, we can hover over their name. We can send a message to that person. We can start a video call with that person, or we can start an extension-to-extension phone call. We're going to come back and take a look at some of these features in a bit. For right now, we're just kind of orienting ourselves to the app. We're going to close out of that, and we are going to open up the dial pad. Here, we have the dial pad that we can use for any of the calls that we might need to make through the Ring Central system. We can minimize it. We can bring it back. We can drag it around the screen, and we can access this from anywhere in the application. We're going to leave it minimized for now. The plus button can be used to access certain features no matter where you are in the app. So if you need to send a new direct message, create a team, send a fax, anything, this plus button is going to be really useful for anything that you just might need to access from any other part of the app. The last thing that we're going to take a look at is up here. We've got our user's profile information. On View Profile, you can upload a new profile photo. You want to make sure that that is a clear picture of yourself. So you'll click on the little pencil icon here. It'll pop open a window from your operating system to choose the file that you'd like to upload. You can also do this from the mobile app if you need to take a new picture of yourself to upload in here. If you're anything like me, your haircut has changed a lot since the beginning of this whole lockdown thing. You can also edit the profile information that that everyone else in your organization sees. And a last caveat that I'll make for you, should probably make sure that whatever picture you upload in here of yourself should be business appropriate. Clicking on our initials brings us to our status. The status that you set up here is what other folks will see when they search for you and message you. You can choose an emoji to go along with that, and then you have free text entry here. We have some basic statuses that are already built out for you, but you can fully customize it to whatever you want it to say. Below that, we've got a set of settings called Presence. These settings will allow you to choose whether or not you're available to receive phone calls. Right now, I set to available, so it shows a little green dot to anybody who's looking me up. If I'm on a call, that green dot will automatically flip to red and let people know that I'm busy. If I set this to Do Not Disturb, it's going to bring a big old red banner up here. This red banner will remind me that I'm set to Do Not Disturb. If I set Do Not Disturb in the desktop app, this will apply to both my desk phone and my mobile app as well. Same thing if we apply Do Not Disturb in the mobile app, it'll apply to all of the endpoints where we might use Ring Central. The last option that we've got below here is whether or not we're going to accept queue calls. You will only see this if you're a member of a call queue. So if you don't see this, it just means you haven't been added any call queues by your administrator. Blue means it's turned on, and gray means it's turned off. We're going to come back and take a look at a lot of these features in depth. This was just kind of our orientation to the app. We're going to do the same sort of orientation on the mobile app as well. Today I'll be showing you the mobile app on Android. If you're on iOS, everything should be just about the same as well. Before, we saw the features that we wanted to access for the account on the side of the screen. Now we're going to find those at the bottom. So this is where we're going to go through Message, Video, and Phone. Here on the little 3-line button is where we'll see our more extensive sort of settings information. Here I can edit my profile picture as well. And if you don't have a good profile picture to use, it might be really easy to take one directly from your phone and use it here. Tapping on Available will allow me to set my presence settings. Remember, if I set Do Not Disturb here, that's going to apply to my desktop app as well. I'll also see a handy-dandy reminder banner here letting me know I'm on Do Not Disturb. And if I tap on that, I can choose to turn it off. Clicking on the 3-line button, we'll come down to our settings, themes. We can leave it at the system default, force it into light mode, or force it into dark mode. We'll take a look at some of these other settings a little bit later in the training. For any account features that you don't see listed down here, you can also access those from the little 3-line button up here as well. We can customize the tabs that show down at the bottom for any features that we might use more often than other features. or you can just access them through the sidebar here, even if you don't have them added to the bottom. To navigate through sub-features of the feature, so for example on messages, we'll use the top navigation bar. Sometimes you can swipe this around to see other features that might be hidden just past the fold. Video meetings are available from the mobile app as well. You can share your phone's screen from a mobile video meeting. I'm not using that for today's session, but if you do want to use that in the future, sharing your phone screen is a little bit different than sharing on desktop. When you share your phone screen from mobile, the only option is to share your entire screen. If you do choose to host a meeting from mobile and use screen share from mobile, I would strongly recommend putting your entire phone in Do Not Disturb mode so that nobody sees any of your personal notifications. Unlike the desktop version of the application, if you want to make a phone call from the mobile app, you'll need to tap on Phone at the bottom and then click on the little dial pad button here to bring up your dial pad. So unlike the desktop app, this doesn't show from everywhere within the app here. Now that we've gone through orientation on the mobile app as well, we're going to swap the screen back over to desktop and start taking a look at the features that we have available. Now that I'm back on the desktop app, I can navigate through my messages on the sidebar here. If you don't see messages, make sure that you've clicked on message over here. The first thing that I might recommend doing is opening up your Me Chat. So for anybody who's been activated and is trying to follow along, go ahead and search for your own name up here in the search bar. You'll see it listed as Me, and then clicking on the messaging icon will open up your Me Chat. The Me Chat is really useful because you can kind of play around in it and get to know the features that are available in Ring Central without spamming up a team chat. The Me Chat will follow you around no matter which device you're on. So if you're like me, you'll use this for taking notes for yourself or making checklists for to-do items. And then you might access those on mobile and check them off from there. Let's take a look at what features are available through the Me Chat, and then we'll move over to one of our team chats and interact there. Down here at the bottom, we can just type up a message and hit enter to send. If we'd like to, though, we can also use fancy formatting on that message. So we'll hit format message here. We'll type in our message. We'll add a bulleted list to it. We'll just select that bulleted list, come down here to the text formatting, and make it a bulleted list. Once you've chosen to expand out the formatting toolbar, you've got to come down here to send your message. Enter, we'll just put in a line break since you're doing fancy advanced formatting. Beside that, we've got the ability to attach files. By virtue of being a Ring Central subscriber, you have unlimited file storage in the Ring Central system, so you can upload a file of any type or any size. If you've been adding it to any of your teams, you can also access that from mobile. So any files you upload here will be stored on the Ring Central server encrypted, and you can access them from any other device that you're signed into. Here, we can insert an emoji into any of our messages. So in this case, let's say that we want to insert in a specific emoji. We can search for that emoji by name, hit enter, and it'll send off. We have Giphy integration set up as well. GIFs have been set to PG-13 by your administrator, so you can search through any of the keywords or phrases for any of the GIFs that you might want to find. So let's say that I want to search for one that says excited. I'll click on it, and now it's been uploaded into my team. You can also insert an image or a GIF that you have saved on your local computer by attaching it as a file. So any images, videos, or documents that you attach here, Ring Central will be able to view those through the app. Clicking on New Task will allow us to add a task to any of our chats. Tasks are really useful. They're going to be stored in Ring Central. They won't pass on to like Outlook or anything else like that. Those tasks are just going to be stored in here. You can give each task a title and then choose the assignees. Since this is my Me chat, I'm the only assignee available. You'll only be able to assign a task to a person that is in the message or in the team. Once you're creating a task, you can choose a due date for it, and you can choose how the task will be marked as complete. Checked means that anybody to whom the task is assigned can check it off. Checked by all assignees means that everyone needs to check it off. This might be useful, if you have something like read and understood or a big process or workflow update that you need to make sure that everybody looks through. 100% done will be useful for any big projects we might have going on. If I scroll up just a little bit here, I've got an example of a task that allows me to set the percent to goal. So this is what it'll look like if we choose that a task has to be marked as 100%. And up here, I've got a task that's been checked off. You can also check a task that's been checked off to mark it as incomplete. And then anytime that somebody checks the task as complete, it'll update in here with a little strike through it. Next, we've got events. Events are going to be kind of like calendar events that are only through RingCentral. So these events won't integrate with your calendar or anything like that. We use these to help keep track of things like when a team member is working late or needs to leave early or is out sick. You can also upload a rich text note. When you upload a note, it'll show a little preview of that note. So we're going to post it. It'll show a little preview here, but this is really good if you need to upload something that might be a wall of text and you don't want that to take up all the room in your team's chat. Any notes that you have set up, you can also choose to share the note to another team as well. For any messages that we've sent, we can hover over those to see more. So for any message that I've got here, we can choose to react to that message with an emoji. We can choose to quote the message. I'll show you this one when we get into our team. And if it's a message that you've posted, you can choose to edit that message as well. So I'm going to get rid of that line break there. And I'm going to hit enter to commit the edit. And now I've edited my message. Clicking on the three dot button will allow us to pin a message. When we pin a message, it'll add it to the sidebar of this chat for everyone to see. We can bookmark a message. That's kind of like keeping track of it for our own records, and those will come up here to our bookmarks. We can create a new task from a message as well, which will just use this message to create a task. And the last thing that we can do is delete a message. Say we posted something in the wrong team, you can delete that. And there you go. Let's take a look at our team. So I've got one team set up here for my Happy Panda training team. It's in bold because I've got an unread message. Same thing with Amber. Amber's in bold and I have one unread from there. I'm going to jump up to the team here, give it a click. I've added this team to my favorites. Teams and direct messages will be kept in chronological order down here under their header. For any of those, though, that you might want to keep track of that are really important, you can click on a little three dot button here, make it a favorite, and then it'll be stored under your favorites instead. The favorites will also follow you through to the mobile app to maybe make it easy to keep track of your important conversations. Now that I am on my team, I see that Ricky has a message that he's posted in here. And I'm going to quote this message. So when I hit quote, it's going to put what's called an @ mention up here. I can use those @ mentions to summon somebody and get their attention in this team. So I can use @team to send a notification to everyone, or I can use @ a specific person's name in order to get that person's attention. So I'm going to let Ricky know I'm actually available at 3:45 if you need an earlier assist. I'll hit enter to send the message. And now Ricky has gotten an @ mention. To review any @ mentions you've received in the past, you can just click up here on the @ mentions button. It'll show you why you received that message, and you can click View in Conversation to be taken back to the original context. In the sidebar chat, I have a question. One item we found is that Teams and direct messages can't be put in sorted order, but that you can drag your favorites about and reorder those. Are favorites limited to 10 entries? Good question. We're going to come down here to Settings, Messages, Max Conversations. So the max conversations should control how many messages we can see total. As far as what we might be limited to on favorites, I'm not exactly certain about that. Let's take a look. We're just going to come through here real quick, and today I am playing favorites, and everyone are my favorites. And we'll see how many it shows us out of those favorites. It'll take us just a second to do that. Any of the individual messages that we have here, so any of our teams or direct messages, will always be ordered in chronological order from the one that we've most recently sent or received in. And it looks like I've got 15 favorites here, so favorites don't appear to be limited to any specific number of entries. I think that favorites, though, will follow this setting, max conversations that we have. So if I were to take this and set it down to a smaller number, and then I come back to messages. Nope, it looks like favorites will even still show me that many there. So it looks like you can have as many favorites as you might need to have through the app. Good question. We're going to change this back to the max here and go back to our messages. If we need to send a direct message to somebody, we can just hit plus up here, send new message, or we can come down here to direct messages. We can hover over this plus button here and choose send new message. Or the last way we can do it is search for somebody by name. In this case, I'm going to search for Amber, and I'm going to hit the message icon. This will just bring me to my message history with Amber. Amber want to know if I got the document. And I'll let her know that I'm just awaiting the client to approve it. The last thing that we're going to talk about is creating a team. So hovering over teams, we can hit the plus, or we can do that from up here, new actions, create team. When we're creating a team, we can choose the team members. We can add or remove folks from the team at any time. We'll create a team description as well, and then we'll choose whether the team is private or public. Public doesn't mean like open to the general public. It just means that anybody in your system can search for and find the team. So for example, I'm part of the Ring Central University training team. We have a public team that's available for anyone to ask questions about what we train, to give us updates on any itineraries or anything like that. We also have a team that's private. It's just for our team members to talk about our training sessions. Here we have settings that we can turn on at the time of team creation. So for example, if we want to keep a team private, we can turn off the ability of team members to add in other team members. Or let's say that we don't want somebody to be able to send us notifications, we can turn off @team mentions as well. If a team has been set to public, you can search for it here, and you can choose to join any of the public teams that are available. I'm going to pause for a moment, open up the floor for any questions we might have. And if we have any questions, feel free to ask them. If we don't, I'll pick right back up in a few moments. All right, doesn't sound like we have any questions. There's one more thing that I want to show you. Whenever we're on a team or a direct message, there's a handy dandy little shelf up here where we can show the details of this team. This will show all the members in the team or the chat, along with anything that's been pinned, files that have been shared, and more. Very useful if you need to look up an image that was maybe posted last week and find it in here. We're going to close this little shelf now. And we're going to start taking a look at our video options. So on the side, we're going to come over to video. You'll have access to RingCentral meetings through your video settings. That's the same platform that we're using today. Here on Start, we would start a meeting at our personal meeting ID, which is listed down here. Schedule will take us through the flow to schedule a meeting, and Join will let us join a meeting from a 10-digit meeting ID. First thing I'm going to do is start a meeting and show you the controls we have there. It'll take just a moment for this meeting to get started. I'm going to swap my screen share over so you can see my entire screen here. And now you should be seeing the meeting controls for this other meeting that I have started. Down here at the bottom, I can mute and unmute myself, start and stop my video. For both of these, we can also choose to test these options, so I can test speaker and microphone. Or I can come into my video settings and I can see what my camera sees before I begin broadcasting. There's one thing that I will recommend changing here in your video settings. Under meetings, turn off my video when joining meeting. If you're like me, you're not always camera ready, and this can help save just a little bit of embarrassment. You can always turn it back on afterwards. Here we have an option to invite. Invite will allow you to either copy the URL or copy the full invitation info. If you copy the URL, you can paste it into a message and invite somebody from there. We'll come back to the Manage Participants screen a little bit later, because right now it won't be useful with only one participant in here. But we can mute or rename any participant. We can also kick a participant out of any of our meetings. When the participant menu is open, you can interact non-verbally with the presenter. You can give any of these things I'm showing you a try right now, by the way. And you can let the presenter know how you feel about the session. As a host, you can mute or unmute all of the participants. Or you can choose whether to mute them on entry, which just mutes them by default. And you can even choose to not allow them to unmute themselves. Here we've got share. When we share, we can either choose to share an entire screen or just one window. Chat allows us to either chat with any individual participant or with everyone in the meeting. And then record. Record will allow us to record meetings to our computer. It'll take about 10 to 15 minutes per hour of meeting for the meeting to encode over to a video. Once it does, it'll be available in an MP4 format, and you can send that or upload it as you need to. Your participants will see a recording notification just like you see on the screen right now. Last option that we're going to look at here is support. Support will allow you to either request screen sharing or give somebody else the opportunity to share your screen. We're going to end the meeting now. If there were more people in here, I would ask if I wanted to end the meeting for everyone, or if I just wanted to leave the meeting myself. I'm going to hit End Meeting for All. And now I'm back to the RingCentral app. I'm going to swap my screen back over to the RingCentral app screen on its own. Clicking on Schedule will allow me to schedule a meeting. When I'm scheduling a meeting, I'll put the title of the meeting here. So maybe I put in something like training session. I'll choose the date and time that I want to schedule the meeting for, along with the duration. This is important. This information will be passed on to whatever you select for schedule using. So for example, if I select schedule using Outlook Calendar or Google Calendar, my operating system will open up the application of choice, bring me to the calendar events at this time and date with this duration, and I'll be able to schedule the meeting from there. Otherwise, if I choose meeting info, it'll just give me text that I can copy and paste out into my own calendar event. You can choose to host a meeting at your personal meeting ID. It's kind of like having a meeting that anybody can drop into if they know that personal meeting ID. I tend to recommend using this only for informal or impromptu meetings. You can choose to require a password for your meeting. If you do, that password will be included in the meeting invite, and a pre-authenticated link will be sent to invitees. Anybody who joins with the meeting ID, however, will need the password to get in. If you have a waiting room set up for the meeting, it means that anybody who joins in will display their name on the meeting, and then you'll have to choose to admit them from the waiting room. Under advanced settings, there are two of these that I really like to use. I like to use turn off camera for participants and mute participants on entry. They can always unmute themselves or turn their camera back on, but I find that this allows me to be a respectful host and people can retain their privacy and turn things on as they need to in the meeting. Once I hit schedule here, if I had chosen to go through Outlook or Google Calendar, this is the information that would be attached to my meeting invite. It's going to give folks a link to join, instructions on how to join by phone, and more. This should look pretty familiar. This is kind of how I scheduled today's training session. We're going to close out of that. Down here, I've got my calendar set up as well. To get your calendar integrated with RingCentral here, you'll come down into Settings, Contacts and Calendars, and then you can choose to connect your Microsoft or Google account. Once you've connected an account, you'll have an option here under Calendar Presence, meaning that anytime when your calendar is blocked, your green dot will change red and you'll show as busy. That's how my corporate account is set up. So right now, since I'm leading this session with you, I've got that set up there. Joe's let me know that due to the type of exchange you're using, you likely won't be able to access these additional features for your account connections. We're going to jump back to video here. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to see what questions we have before I move away from the video meeting. Excuse me, before I move away from the video meeting feature, and I start showing the phone feature. All right, so I see that the phones are going to be mostly physical. Would you like me to show soft phone entries? In the sidebar, another question, is there a limit to the length of time a message is bookmarked? Nope. As long as the message is still in your system, which your administrator can choose how long messages are retained for, by default, we retain them forever. And Joe's confirmed that you're retaining them forever as well. So if that message is bookmarked, it'll stay in your bookmarks forever. All right. So any calls that come into your RingCentral extension will also ring your RingCentral application. Here on phone, we can see any of the calls that we've received, regardless of whether we receive them on desktop, mobile, or on our desk phone. We can see any calls that we've missed. Hovering over a contact will show us how we got that information from the contact. Voicemail will allow us to access our voicemails from the app. Even if you're using a desk phone, I find accessing voicemails from the app to be really easy because it gives us this kind of handy-dandy visual voicemail interface. Clicking on a voicemail will show us any transcript if the system was able to generate one. We can click play to listen to the voicemail through the app, or here under the three-dot button, we can choose to download it as an MP3. You can also send and receive faxes directly from your RingCentral phone number as well. To send a fax, we can come up here to the plus, new fax, or we can come over here to fax and hit plus and send out a fax. You can send a fax to any phone number. They don't need to be a RingCentral subscriber or using a digital fax endpoint like this. RingCentral does provide some cover pages for you to use. I recommend Contempo or Classic, but if these cover pages don't meet your needs, you can select None and include a cover page with your document instead. The information that populates on your cover page will be controlled on your extension settings, so I'll show you that in just a few minutes. You only need to set that up once, and then you can add in a note on the front of that cover page from here. So all of your details, like the phone number to call you or fax you back at, will be controlled via the cover page settings. Once we've put in the phone number that we want to send the fax to, we can attach any file size. Common document or image file types are supported. Basically, if Microsoft Word can save it, RingCentral can fax it. One recommendation that I might make, I prefer to save my faxes as PDF before I send them out, just to make sure that the formatting stays consistent and professional from when I send it to when the person's fax machine receives it. You can attach files of up to 50 megabytes for faxing. 50 megabytes is very big. It'll take a long time to send and a long time to receive. Remember, faxes are sent at about the speed of dial-up internet. Once you've sent a fax, it'll show here in your sent faxes. Actually, I haven't ever sent any faxes from this test user. And it'll have a status showing whether the fax has been completed or whether it's still being processed. Here under Received, you'll see all of the faxes that you've received to your direct line phone number. Now, when you're receiving a fax, you don't need to do anything special to get it. Your phone won't ring. You don't have to put anything into the system. The system will just tell you that you have a new fax, and it'll show you a notification that looks like this. So here on phone, I'd see that orange number light up, and then down here on fax, I'd see that I've got a fax that I've received. Faxes can be viewed directly through the RingCentral system as a PDF or downloaded as a PDF as well. We can also choose to forward them to anyone else, or we can block the number if we got some spammy faxes. Under Sent, if our fax fails to send for any reason, there will be an option to resend the fax as well. The system should also use this same sort of alert here for the unread message indicator when you have a failed fax or something in your sent box that needs action. Additionally, if you're sending a lot of faxes, you can choose to get an email notification if sending that fax fails. I'll show you how to set that up in a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and make a call. When we're making a call, faxing, anything else, doesn't matter if we're doing it from the soft phone or the desk phone, we don't need to dial 9 or 1 to get out of the system. You'll just use 10-digit dialing like you would on your cell phone. We support copy and paste in the number fields, and you can also search by name. Here I can see that I've got contacts from within the system. I can tell those are contacts from within the system because they've got their extension number. You can also search here for any of the queues that you might have in your system. So for example, if you need to transfer a call to pharmacy, nursing, or intake, you'll be able to search here for those queue extensions, and you can either directly call those or transfer a call to them. When we're making a call out, you'll see the phone number that you're calling from here. Most of your phone numbers are going to be test numbers until the porting process is completed. When you're making a call out, you can choose what phone number you're making the call out from any numbers your administrator has made available here. So for example, if you're calling somebody and you need to get their reply call back to you, you'll select direct number. Otherwise, you can select main number, and then if they hit redial, they'll come back into the main number instead of your number. We're going to go ahead and hit enter to make this call. It'll take me just a moment to pick it up on my test system. All right, now that I'm on that call, I have my call controls here. I can mute and unmute the call easily. If I'm calling out to somebody and I need to interact with a voicemail system, IVR, anything that wants me to use touch-tone dialing, I'll open up the keypad here. Once I'm done with the keypad, I'll hit back and get rid of it. Audio settings will show here. Audio settings will allow you to control which device you're using for your phone call audio. In general, if your operating system recognizes a device as an audio device, you will be able to use it in RingCentral. I strongly recommend that if you're using the soft phone, to have an external headset or pair of headphones for call quality reasons. It'll help isolate the audio and avoid any feedback or echo. Here on Plus, we can add in up to 5 additional callers here. These can be folks from within our RingCentral system or from outside of our system. I'll search for Martin by his extension number, and we're going to add him into the call. My previous call went on hold, and now I'm speaking with Martin. If Martin agrees to be conferenced in, I'll hit the orange button to merge him in as a conference call. If Martin doesn't agree to be conferenced in, I'll hit the red button to end the call on his line, and I just go back to the original line, which is now on hold. I can either click the on hold or the unhold button here. If you need to make a new call, you can just place your current call on hold, click on the dial pad, and make a new call out. The RingCentral soft phones support up to 5 active calls at a time. So you can have 5 calls ongoing. We're going to X out of there and pull our call off of hold here. Under More, we can choose to transfer the call. Transferring will allow us to send the call to either any other extension in our system or to any phone number outside of the system. If I'm selecting to transfer to a phone number inside of the system, I've got an extra option here. So Ask First will let me do a warm or consultative transfer. This is where I'm speaking to the person I transfer to before I send it over. Transfer will do it as a cold or blind transfer. As soon as I click transfer, this call is off of my line and going to this person. To voicemail will allow me to transfer the call directly to this person's voicemail and bypass any of their ringing. This is only available for extensions within your system. So if I were to choose to transfer the call to voicemail here, this call will go directly to Martin's voicemail, and it won't ring his device at all. We're going to click on Ask First to do a warm or consultative transfer. We can see here that it opened up another line just like it did while we were conferencing. So I can go back and speak to my patient. I can come back here and speak to Martin. I can come back to my patient and get additional details. I can come back and speak to Martin. And then if I'm ready to transfer the call, I'll hit the green button. Or if I'm not going to transfer or Martin's not going to accept it, I'll end the call from here. When we started to do the transfer, our call was placed on hold. We're going to pull them back up off of hold, and now we're speaking with them again. I have a feature that I'd like to show you on the mobile app, but before I do that, I'm going to pause and see what questions we might have about anything that I've just shown you. You're going to be using this system every day. I know you guys do a lot of faxes, a lot of calls, a lot of hard work. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to swap my screen. And we're going to show the entire screen here. So I think we had hold music come through from one of our participants, so I've just gone ahead and muted everyone. So here I've got the desktop app on the left-hand side of the screen. And on the right-hand side here, I have the mobile app. When I have a call going on either app, I can swap it over to the other app. So here I started a call on desktop. I'll hit switch. And look at that. Now I've got the call on my mobile app instead. You can do the same thing if you've started a call on the mobile app. You can swap the call back over to the desktop app, and you can do this all day if you'd like to. When we have the call on our mobile app, there's one other feature that I'd like to point out. Under the three dot button, switch to carrier. If you're on mobile data and you're like me and you don't have an unlimited mobile data plan, switch to carrier will have the RingCentral system transfer the call to your own phone number, and then you'll be using your minutes instead of mobile data. I'm about to switch away from both of the apps. Before I do, I'm going to ask if we have any last-minute questions. All right. Then in that case, we're going to end the call here. I'm going to show you one other thing. We're just going to show this do not disturb once more. In the sidebar, what's the advantage of using the mobile app? You have the same features in both the mobile and the desktop app. The only advantage to using the mobile app is that it's on your phone and in your pocket. Might be useful if, say, you need to take calls while you're on a break, or if you want to make a call and walk around. Any of your queue calls will also be delivered to the mobile app. Generally, the advantage is portability. I believe the nursing team will be using the mobile app as well when they're up and moving around. It can also be useful for messaging. So in general, portability, that's the only advantage because all of the other features are the same. All right, we're going to take a look at our extension settings, and then that'll round out our training for today. Extension settings are settings that are going to follow you no matter what device you're using. So if you're using a desk phone or the desktop app or the mobile app, those extension settings will follow you around everywhere. To access those from the mobile app, click on the three-line button up here, come down to Settings, Phone, and then you may need to swipe down to see extension settings. From the mobile app, you'll have full access to all of your extension settings. So we're really going to go over these on desktop instead. We're going to come over here to Settings, Phone, Extension Settings on the desktop app. Those extension settings are just going to open up in a new web browser window where you're signed into RingCentral. Under User Details, you'll be able to confirm that your user details are correct. Settings and permissions will allow you to change your user hours and get those customized. In this case, my user hours are set 7 to 7. That means that any calls that come in outside of this time will go to voicemail. For folks who are members of queues, your administrator may have your business hours or may have your user hours set to match the queue hours, just to make sure that you don't get any calls outside of that time. Here under Messages, you can record a custom voicemail greeting that'll play if somebody calls your extension during user hours and they miss the call, or after hours and you miss the call. Calls to any of the queues, so calls to the pharmacy queue, for example, or nursing or the intake department, calls to any of those queues will never reach your voicemail. Only calls to your own direct phone number will reach your voicemail. Here on the voicemail greeting, we can hit Edit, swap this over to Custom, and we can choose to record a custom voicemail greeting here. We can record it over a phone call or over our computer microphone. We're going to cancel out of there. We're going to take a look at outbound calls and faxes. Under caller ID, you should see that the phone caller ID that's set here will be set to your main company number. Under fax settings, you'll be able to program what shows on the cover page of faxes that you send out. This cover page information will be included on any fax that you choose to include a RingCentral cover page on. Under Notifications, Messaging Notifications, if you turn this from Basic over to Advanced, you can choose to receive faxes directly in your email inbox as a PDF. You'll just click Customize Notification for Faxes, choose Include Attachment with Email, and there you go. If you'd like to, you can also use a semicolon here and add somebody else to receive those attachments. Very useful if you have another team member who's working on some of the same things that you might be. Fax transmission results, we can also request to get sent as email notifications. This will tell you once the fax has been successfully sent or if there is an error sending it. So if you're the kind of person that prefers to work out of your inbox all day, turning on fax transmission results might end up being really helpful. Any questions about any of the settings we've seen here before I move on? Pause for a moment and see if we have any. I like to say the best questions always happen 5 minutes after the training ends. All right. I've got one other thing that I'd like to show you. It'll take me just a moment to get that up here. For those of you that prefer to work out of your email inbox mostly, I've got one other feature that I'd like to show. I'm going to swap my screen back over to our presentation. You can also send faxes directly from your email. In the To field, just put in the 10-digit fax number at rcfax.com. We'll know who is sending the fax because we have your email on file with your extension. So when you put in that phone number here, we'll know that the fax is coming from you and should go to this phone number. When you're sending a fax via email, your limit will be 20 megabytes for any documents you want to fax. Any last-minute questions we'd like to ask? We don't have any last-minute questions. Support.ringcentral.com has useful information for anything else that you might need to know. If you're trying to figure out how to use an account feature, Support has documentation for you. And then anywhere you see RingCentral University is more learning material that's been put together by my team. In the sidebar chat, I'm going to put a link to a training survey. It'll take about 30 seconds to fill out. I'd really appreciate it if you can. It lets me know how well today's session went and how well everyone else's, how well the session went for everyone else. In the sidebar, I've been informed that if you need any support with the RingCentral rollout, you can contact your local help desk at extension 5555. Thanks for joining today, everyone. If we don't have any last-minute questions, you're free to go.
Thanks, everyone. If you've activated your account, feel free to open up the RingCentral app and start in. Enjoy.
All right. Bye, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend coming up.